This morning, we got the news that the oil company Shell made $40 billion in profit last year. So, the left-wing British mainstream media started to have a meltdown. But we are here to give you the facts. Okay, as you guys know, this channel is in favor of people power. We are against anything big. Big government and big business, especially when they go hand in hand in a corrupt way. We believe that the people, normal people up and down the country and small businesses must be in charge of their own decisions and destiny. Now, but we have to tell the truth, because if a big company is just making profit and it's not harming anybody and is not making corrupt deals with government, then there's nothing wrong with it. By the way, I'm not claiming that Shell is one of those. Definitely not. Shell have a lot of issues, and we have to actually deal with that on a global level because it's an international company and they've made a lot of weird decisions, dodgy stuff in the past. But we have to tell the truth. So we saw all these headlines this morning. This is The Guardian, for example. Anger as Shell makes obscene $40 billion in profit. We even had the BBC and Sky saying, well, they announced their annual profit of £32 billion, which is $40 billion after energy price surge in the UK, which implies that this profit was made in Britain. And they started having all these news shows all day. BBC, Sky, ITV, Channel 4, all of them. And they kept making it about Britain, claiming that $40 billion was made in Britain. Fact, no. That was the global profit that they made. And in fact, only 5% of that, in fact, only £2 billion of that, $2 billion of that was made in the UK. Only 2 billion. Now, of course, it's a huge number, but it's one company and it's one huge company. Why is it that only 5% of that profit was made in the UK, which means little tax paid in the UK? Most of the investment went abroad. Why do you think? Well, maybe because Rishi Sunak and Jeremy Hunt are completely repelling any proper investment and any tax revenue that we could make by completely destroying competition in this country. On the one hand, they make the secret deals behind closed doors with all these private contractors and big businesses. On the other hand, they completely stop innovation and investment. For example, when it comes to the energy profits levy, the windfall tax, and on top of it, you've got the actual corporation tax, which added a surge to it, another 10% on top of that. Overall, guess what? A company like Shell, we are taxing them 75%. So over 2/3 of their revenue, if they make it in the UK, is taxed, which is a classic, like people on the left like it. They're like, oh, good. The more we tax, the more money it comes. No, because the more you tax, the more they're going to move their investment and revenue to other countries. So they're actually paying less tax. It's just basic common sense. We even had actually Tom Harwood, someone who sometimes I agree with him, sometimes I don't agree with him, especially when it comes to woke stuff. He actually made a very good point on this issue on Politics Live.
But isn't that the problem? That only 5% of these profits are being made in the UK? That's only 2 billion out of 40 billion pounds. Why are only 5 billion of these profits being made in the, or 5% of these profits being made in the UK? Well, could it be that we've slapped a 75% tax on these companies? One of the highest windfall taxes in the world. It's on top of a 30% corporation tax, which has a 10% supplementary, then had a 25% windfall on that then got extended to a 35% windfall, making 3/4 of that profit taxed. Is it any wonder that they're not doing as much business in this country, and 95% of their business is elsewhere, making tax revenue for other countries, tax revenue for Canada, for the United States, for Indonesia, for Argentina? These are their big markets. We're not a big market for them because we're taxing them to the hilt.
And that's exactly how other countries, like Canada, for example, manage to remain a market-based economy, yet at the same time, still keep their safety net, their benefit system, and good public services, because they know how to bring in the revenue and how to tax people, and tax the rich and tax the businesses enough to pay their fair share and all that stuff, but actually get the tax revenue to invest it into public services. If you don't have the tax revenue, how can we actually pay the NHS staff the pay rise that they want? How can we actually invest in infrastructure? You need to bring in business, and what you need to do, you need to stop these dodgy dealings between big governments and big businesses, so we don't really help them create loopholes for them. So the Shell, they're still giving us what they are selling, but in fact, we are not getting anything out of it because they're not really paying the taxes here. Because we're not making it attractive for them to pay the taxes here. We could make so much money out of them if they actually feel attracted enough to remain in the United Kingdom. That's just common sense economics. It's not really about saying, well, I need anarcho-capitalism. No one should pay tax, support the rich. Or on the other hand, basically tax the rich 99%. That's not going to help. They're going to move to Canada. They're going to move to America. They're going to move to France, even socialist France. Anyway, let me know what you think. I'm Mahyar, Tousi, and we are the media.